Chapter 1281, Washed Away. Reverse flow river flowed silently. The further they went ahead, the calmer the river's surface. However, to the swimmers, reverse flow river was like a torrential tide. It defied all thoughts of traveling ahead. Destruction of the body was not scary. Destruction of thoughts and the mind was scary that in the past. Even Rinzu failed in reverse flow river. These Gu immortals were doing the same thing as Rinzu now. Damn it. I cannot continue anymore. At the next moment, Uez reached his limits. He could not continue anymore. He was washed away by the tides, and the second central continent Gu immortal, followed by the third. Shizheng gave it his all, but he failed and was washed away by reverse flow river. Apuzhenzi was unwilling, but he could only float away. Bi Chun Tian, and the rest were showing ugly expressions as each central continent Gu immortal got eliminated. Not long after, out of the central continent Gu immortals, only rank 8 Wei Lingyang was left. Being able to reach rank 8, he truly had shocking willpower. Wei Lingyang showed the foundation of a rank 8 great expert. As for those Gu immortals who were washed away, they were all gathered by Qin Tian and went back to the group. They were not obstructed by old ancestor Shui Hu or the dogtail life extending ferret Mao Liqiu. Why is it that our Gu immortals were all swept away, but these random people are still inside the river? Some central continent Gu immortals were very unhappy towards Ying Wuxie's gang and Fang Yuan. At merely rank 6, their willpower is truly shocking. But we were all defeated. They will fail soon. A central continent Gu immortal who was just swept out of the river said. But they did not manage to see Fang Yuan or Ying Wuxie fail before a situation occurred around Ma Hong Yuan and Ma Hong Yun, who was swimming forward, choked on the river water as he was nearly swept away. Be careful. Bai Chun Tian couldn't help but call out. Ying Wuxie was overjoyed, but soon, Ma Hong Yun continued to swim forward, moving his arms. It was just a scare. It's that girl, hee. Her willpower is shocking too. Mao Liqiu could see the subtle details. The crucial moment. Zhao Lianyun had helped Ma Hong Yun and stabilized his condition. The truth was, after reverse flow river went back to normal, the river's surface became smooth. It did not challenge one's physical stamina as much, especially towards the upstream. The river became more shallow, but its reflective power against willpower and mental energy became stronger. Hong Yun, we cannot be separated anymore. Do you know, in order to be with you again, how much have I experienced? How much hardship have I gone through, and how much I have lost? Zhao Lianyun had lost her voice and could not speak, but at this moment, she had no such energy anyway. Her aged body was unleashing strength that even Zhao Lianyun could not believe she had. Zhao Lianyun had forgotten about her stamina and age. She was purely wanting to be together with Ma Hong Yun, even if they were swimming for their lives, and could not even look at each other, even if she could not speak, and danger was right behind them. No matter how bad the situation is, I need to persevere. Every minute and second that I spend with him, fighting alongside him, regardless of the situation, I have never been so blissful. Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lianyun continued moving forward. Even though they were slow, the situation was stabilizing. It was just a scared Bai Chun Tian and the other central continent Gu immortals, and even Flood Extremity and Black Extremity, were having their hearts shake from the shock. Old ancestor Shui Hu snorted coldly. He did not conceal his disappointment. The immortals watched reverse flow river. Every action caused deep emotions to form in their hearts, even though some of them were rank 8 existences, and even though the rank 6 and 7 Gu immortals were experts among those with the same cultivation level, elites of their regions. Even my immortal zombie body is feeling tired? Ying Wuxie smiled bitterly. Purple Mountain True Monarch was on his head, pulling Ying Wuxie's hair. He was causing a din as he cried or laughed at times. I am just a split soul of the main body. I have not lived for a long time. But since coming to life, I knew that I had my own responsibilities. Right now, Lord Purple is crazy. I cannot ignore him. He might choke to death in the river. I am Shadow Sect's only hope. Even if I die from exhaustion here, I cannot give up. Only by capturing Zhao Lianyun and Ma Hong Yun can I stall for time until Lord Purple awakens again. His duty was making Ying Wuxie persevere. Bai Ningbing gritted her teeth. Her chest was pumping up and down. She even laughed lightly. Her face was distorted. Excitement was in her eyes. Exciting. This is truly exciting. In Reverse Flow River, I have experienced a new type of excitement never felt before. This is the road that Rinzhu once walked on. Interesting. This is simply too interesting. Even if I fail, this trip was worth it. Even if I die, this life was worth it. Hey Lu Lan was filled with anger. How can I stop here? Mother, I have not avenged you yet. I have not killed that man with my own hands yet. Arg, I need to persevere. Hey Lu Lan was trembling. She was showing indomitable willpower. However, as time passed, some people could not persevere. Will my excitement end here? I have not taken revenge yet. By Ning Bing and He Lu Lan were out of energy. They were washed away. But their safety was ensured. Old ancestor Shui, who was already waiting for them outside. This way, there were only 6 people left in Reverse Flow River. Dam A Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun were still at first place. Ing Wuxia and the crazy purple mountain true monarch were second. Fang Yuan was third. Wei Lingyang was fourth. There is still hope. Right now, old ancestor Shui, whose hopes were all on Ing Wu Xias long, as Ing Wuxia captured Ma and Zhao. Old ancestor Shui, whose side would gain the initiative. They would be able to threaten by Chun Tian and the others, as well as longevity Heaven's dogtail life extending ferret. But if Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun were swept away, then everyone would have a chance. A huge battle would occur. It was unclear who would win. It would depend on their strength and also luck. Lord Wei Lingyang, it will depend on you now. Bai Chun Tian thought. He clenched his fists that were full of sweat. The dogtail life extending ferret was laughing. Its eyes were staring at the river, thinking of something. The glory of heavenly court. A moment later, Wei Lingyang sighed out loud as he reached his limits. Despite his unwillingness, he was washed away by Reverse Flow River. Central Continent's Gu immortals were shocked. They were completely stunned. Someone screamed in disbelief. How can this be? Lord Wei Lingyang is a rank 8 Gu immortal. How could he lose to these people? Swimming in Reverse Flow River has nothing to do with cultivation level. It depends on your willpower. Someone explained. Central Continent's Gu immortals were silent. Did this mean that the great rank 8 Central Continent Gu immortal, Wei Lingyang's willpower, was inferior to these people? Bai Chun Tian slowly spoke. Don't forget, Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun had rested on the floating mound earlier. According to the information, they even had fruits to eat. When Reverse Flow River engulfed everything, they were at the front. The Gu immortals behind them also went through many struggles. Their stamina and willpower were greatly expended. The Central Continent Gu immortals finally realized. That's true. Even though Lord Wei Lingyang lost, if they had the same starting point, he would definitely be the victor. Because of Bai Chun Tian's words, the Central Continent Gu immortals' morale stabilized. Bai Chun Tian was expressionless. His mood was heavy. What do we do now? Bai Chun Tian was hesitant. The Central Continent group had a huge disadvantage. The wise choice was to retreat and preserve their strength. They could go to Black Heaven and try to meet with Myriad Tidal Dragon, using the Immortal Gu House to see if they could turn this around. There was a third option. It was to stay here and contest for Ma and Zhao with old ancestor Shui Hu and the dogtail life extending ferret. We should discuss this after Wei Lingyang returns. This was a huge matter. Bai Chun Tian could not make the decision. He was not the leader. Wei Lingyang was. But while they were waiting, another change occurred in Reverse Flow River. I will not give in. Ing Wuxia bellowed as he raised his head, but Reverse Flow River engulfed him as he was swept away. Is it finally ending? Ing Wuxia die. Fang Yuan screamed internally. He was waiting for this moment all along that he collided heavily with Ing Wuxia. Both sides were fighting in the water. They stopped advancing. This way, Fang Yuan and Ing Wuxia, as well as Purple Mountain True Monarch, could not help but be washed downstream by Reverse Flow River. Sovereign Immortal Body versus the Strength Path Immortal Zombie. Undeniably, Ing Wuxia was at a disadvantage. He was quickly beaten until he suffered bone fractures by Fang Yuan's punches and kicks. But the Immortal Zombie body was dead to begin with. Its only weakness was the brain. Even the heart was not a weakness. Fang Yuan had become an immortal zombie for some time. He naturally knew this. But Ing Wuxia was defending his head. He disregarded the rest of his body and only protected his skull. Undeniably, this was a wise decision. Once he stalled for time and Feng Yuan was swept out of reverse flow river, Ing Wuxia would counterattack. Don't forget, He Lu Lan, by Ning Bing, and old ancestor Shui who were already outside the river. Among everyone here, Feng Yuan was the only one who was truly alone, that he was racing against time. Feng Yuan wanted to kill Ing Wuxia and Purple Mountain True Monarch before they got out of reverse flow river. While Ing Wuxia was stalling for time, trying to survive, Feng Yuan was not able to do anything to Ing Wuxia at the moment. Chapter 1282. Surpassing Renzu? The most important reason was, fighting in water greatly affected Feng Yuan's ability to attack consecutively, because he needed to breathe outside the water at certain intervals. In this aspect, Feng Yuan was inferior to the dead Mu Ling Lan. He was a water path Gu immortal. He had special water path Dao marks that allowed him to breathe underwater. On the other hand, the immortal zombie did not need to breathe, as it was dead to begin with. Feng Yuan could not attack successfully. He changed his target towards Purple Mountain True Monarch, who was in Ing Wuxia's arms. Ing Wuxia was worried about Purple Mountain True Monarch's safety. He wanted to try and save him, but Feng Yuan changed his target again, poking at Ing Wuxia's eyes. This was a vicious move as long as he succeeded. Feng Yuan would be able to stab into Ing Wuxia's brain and end his life for good. Ing Wuxia's heart was jumping. It was too late to defend himself. He fell into despair. However, a change occurred right at this moment. Purple Mountain True Monarch suddenly stood up and charged at Feng Yuan's face. Feng Yuan had the initiative. He could easily defend himself. He grabbed Purple Mountain True Monarch and tried to squeeze his fist and kill Purple Mountain True Monarch. But Purple Mountain True Monarch had unfathomable capabilities and was a wisdom path Gu immortal with deep wisdom path Dao mark accumulation. Feng Yuan felt like he was grabbing an eel. It was so slippery. Purple Mountain True Monarch somehow managed to squeeze himself out of his fist. Purple Mountain True Monarch escaped Feng Yuan's demonic clutches. He moved agilely in the water. His wings gave him more mobility. Feng Yuan actually missed all of his attacks. Next, Purple Mountain True Monarch flew to Ing Wuxia and grabbed his shirt, swimming desperately and managing to get free from Feng Yuan. Ing Wuxia was shocked and overjoyed. Seeing Purple Mountain True Monarch regain clarity in his eyes, he knew that at this crucial moment of life and death, Purple Mountain True Monarch had regained his senses. This is great. Ing Wuxia was overjoyed. With Purple Mountain True Monarch now clear-headed, they could capture Ma and Zhao again. Quickly leave. Purple Mountain True Monarch carried Ing Wuxia as they moved downstream, rapidly escaping. That he was tiny, but he had great strength. Lord Purple. Ing Wuxia understood something immediately. As soon, Purple Mountain True Monarch fell into insanity once again. Oh. Ing Wuxia sighed deeply. He knew why Purple Mountain True Monarch wanted to retreat, because his condition was not stable. Because of Purple Mountain True Monarch, Feng Yuan could not eliminate Ing Wuxia. Furthermore, he was lagging behind. That he was far from Ma and Zhao. Old ancestor Shui, who had an unhappy expression, because Ing Wuxia and Purple Mountain True Monarch left. Only 3 people were left in Reverse Flow River. They were Ma Hongyun, Zhao Lianyun, and Feng Yuan. Who is this? He is a Northern Plains Gu immortal, but he dares to foil my plan. Old ancestor Shui, who had deep killing intent towards Feng Yuan. He Lu Lan was already standing beside old ancestor Shui, who, hearing old ancestor Shui Hu's words, her heart jumped. Feng Yuan clearly had deep enmity with Ing Wuxia. She had to answer this question now. He Lu Lan was a member of Shadow's sect. At this moment, she could not expose Feng Yuan's true identity, but thankfully, he had another identity. So she said, he is Lu Guani. Lu Guani, the demonic path Gu immortal who killed Yi Lui Kun Xing and cultivates ancient sword dragon transformation. Old ancestor Shui, who was stunned before replying that he knew about Lu Guani. Even though he was refining Gu in Snowy Mountain, he still paid attention to the situation in Northern Plains, because the rank 8 Gu immortals in Northern Plains were all obstacles for him in refining fortune rivaling heaven. As for Lu Guan and Chu Du, old ancestor Shui, who was not too concerned about them. But to think that this insignificant character was actually foiling his plan at this moment. Ha ha! Luck is truly on our side. The dogtail life extending ferret laughed loudly. Waves of noise billowed. I Chin Tian and Wei Ling Yang had gathered together. Central Continent's Gu immortals waited solemnly. They had chosen to stay and wait for a chance. Old ancestor Xue Hu, He Lu Lan, and Bai Ning Bing stood together. The three parties were all at the starting point, waiting for Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun to be swept away. Fairy Lian Yun, Ma Hong Yun, you can come out now. Even if us Gu immortals of Central Continent have to sacrifice our lives, we will defend you. Wei Lingyang called out, laughable. You Central Continent fellows want to snatch them from me, Grandpa Mao? The dogtail life extending ferret, Mao Li Chiu, was furious and spoke in displeasure. Black Extremity was worried that Mao Li Chiu's scary appearance would frighten Ma Hong Yun. He quickly added, Ma Hong Yun, you are acknowledged by fortune rivaling Heaven Immortal Gu and have Giant Sun's bloodline. You are a member of Longevity Heaven. Longevity Heaven is the origin of our bloodline. It is the grotto heaven of ancestor Giant Sunday. We are here to bring you home. Old ancestor Xue Hu snorted, pressuring Fang Yuan. Lu Guanyi, if you can capture Ma and Zhao, I will allow you to become the third peak lord of Snowy Mountain. I, Xue Hu, am one to hold my word, you can rest assured. If you succeed, I will back you up. Your future cultivation journey will be smooth sailing. Hearing this, the other Gu immortals started to look at Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan lost the chance to kill Ying Wuxia. There was no other way that he had tried his best, but the foundation of rank 8 was immense. The advantage of the strength path, immortal zombie body in reverse flow river, and most importantly, Purple Mountain true monarch's moment of clarity, pushed him towards the abyss of failure. I failed again. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. The situation was horrible for him. Out of the 3 rank 8 existences outside the river, he could only join old ancestor Xue Hu. But old ancestor Xue Hu was with the members of Shadow Sect. If I leave reverse flow river, these 3 rank 8s will attack me. My speed cannot match Hui Fengzi. Even with myriad self and familiar face, the hope of escaping from them is likely very slim. Fang Yuan was very clear on his current situation. However, if I can capture Ma and Zhao, I will have the best bargaining chips. Central Continent and Longevity Heaven will be willing to transact, not to mention old ancestor Xue Hu as well. By then, I could use them to help eliminate Shadow Sect. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan stared at Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun that he swam upstream. Charging towards the two of them, M.A. and Zhao saw Fang Yuan's movement. They were the only ones ahead of him now. His animosity was obvious. M.A. and Zhao could only grit their teeth and continue swimming. Persevere. I have just escaped from Snowy Mountain. I cannot be captured again. There is also Lady Xiao Yun. She became like this because of me. I need to save her. Thus, I need to persevere. Ma Hong Yun, you can do it. Work hard. Ma Hong Yun gritted his teeth. He desperately swam. Even though he was very tired, he had strong driving force in his heart. Fang Yuan's speed was faster than Ma and Zhao. But because he had fought with Ying Wuxia earlier, he was pushed back by reverse flow river for some time. Thus, Ma and Zhao were very safe. Unless they could not hold on anymore as time passed. This mystical competition was reaching its end. Outside the river, large numbers of Gu immortals were observing the 3 people in reverse flow river. At this time, Zhao Lianyun's expression suddenly changed. While swimming, her legs had touched the ground. Next, she subconsciously stepped on the ground and stood up from reverse flow river. Her head and shoulders was exposed above the water. This change made both her and Ma Hong Yun extremely joyful. How could this happen? Flood Extremity was extremely shocked. The dogtail life extending ferret yawned. Are you ignorant? Upstream in reverse flow river, it gets shallower and shallower. Did you people not read the legends of Renzu? Back then, Renzu wanted to walk out of reverse flow river. He failed at the last step. So it is like this. Mao Li Chiu spoke loudly. The Central Continent Gu immortals finally realized it. Unknowingly, the 2 of them have already reached the end. Look, they are only 100 steps away from the shore. Does this mean Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun will be able to break the record and achieve what Renzu could not do? Forcefully getting out of reverse flow river from the front? That might not be. Renzu had swam from the bottom of the river. Ma and Zhao had a much easier time. Even so, this is a grand feat. That's right, their willpower is simply shocking. The Gu immortals were all discussing this. Even Mao Liqiu was moved. This is true. Ma Hongyun is really something. He might be able to charge out of reverse flow river. Hee. Black Extremity and Flood Extremity looked at each other. The former said arrogantly, as expected of the person chosen by fortune rivaling heaven, immortal Gu. Fang Yuan was still swimming, trying to reach them, when Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were already walking in reverse flow river. Almost all the Gu immortals were looking at Ma and Zhao. The immortals wanted to know if these two could break the record of human history, and in a sense, surpass Rinzhu and walk out of reverse flow river from the front. One step at a time. A Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun supported each other. As they walked forward shakily but with determination, they were extremely tired, their bodies were numb, but they still persevered. Almost every step, their bodies would shake like tree branches in the wind. It would not be strange if any of them fainted at the very next moment. But in this condition, they continued to advance. This situation created a huge impact on these immortals' hearts. What sort of willpower is this? Is this the power of love? The two of them are supporting each other through thick and thin and are walking side by side. Regardless of the result, I feel deep admiration towards the two of them. The river water's turbulence gradually stopped. As Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun finally approached the end of the river, everyone held their breaths in anticipation. Chapter 1283, Immemorial Secrets of Reverse Flow River. Am I going to fail? Fang Yuan was still swimming. Seeing this, his heart sank. No, until the final moment. I still have a chance. I cannot give up. The final step. Bai Chun Tian cried out. The immortals did not dare to breathe loudly. They were nervous, staring at this grand moment. Grandpa Mao, get ready to save Ma Hongyun. We will fight for them the moment they get out. Black Extremity transmitted, reminding the dog-tail life extending ferret, but the latter replied, no need. Grandpa Mao, what do you mean? Black Extremity was anxious, because now, Ma Hongyun was holding Zhao Lianyun's hand, taking the final step. His left leg was still in reverse flow river, but right now, the river water was not even at the sole of his left foot. Meanwhile, his right foot was already in the air, about to step out of the river at this moment. Nobody could stop Ma Hongyun, unless Zhao Lianyun went crazy or if Ma Hongyun gave up. But none of these happened. A Hongyun took a step forward. Ping! With a soft sound, water splattered that he stepped on water. Why is there water? Ma Hongyun was stunned. Zhao Lianyun was also dazed. They saw clearly that when Ma Hongyun took the final step, the river water also moved forward by a little. Thus, Ma Hongyun was still in reverse flow river. How can this be? Ma Hongyun could not believe it. He gritted his teeth and took a second step. This time, a similar thing happened. Reverse flow river moved ahead again, causing him to remain in the river. The immortals were shocked. How could reverse flow river do this? This was simply too shameless. Ha! Mao Liqiu suddenly laughed out loud. This is too fun. This is too fun. Look at your faces. Ha! This is too funny. Too funny. The immortals' expressions changed. Black Extremity understood something after recalling Mao Liqiu's earlier words. He realized at once that Mao Liqiu was sure Ma Hongyun could not step out of reverse flow river. That was why it was so calm and did not try to snatch them. Grandpa Mao, what is going on? Flood Extremity was impatient. He asked curiously. Ha! You fools. Look at your faces. Mao Liqiu was laughing as his claws slammed on the ground. He was extremely overjoyed. Reverse flow river itself is like this. It has upstream and downstream parts, but it is impossible to try and forcefully leave the river from upstream, because reverse flow river has no end. Every step you take at the final stretch of the river would just create a new extension of the river. During the immemorial era, Rinzhu wanted to save his son, but fate dictated the life and death of all beings. How can a dead person have a second life? That was against the rules of heaven and earth. Thus, Wisdom Gu did not tell Rinzhu that there was such a mystical aspect in reverse flow river. Ha ha, this is too funny, to think that we would encounter something so funny. Mao Liqiu said this as it laughed maniacally. It even rolled on the ground, patting its tummy. The immortal's expressions completely changed. This was an immemorial secret. Everyone was hearing it for the first time. This means that in the legends, wisdom Gu entrapped Renzu. Renzu failed at the final step, but the truth is there was no final step. Because reverse flow river is endless to begin with. This is a scheme. Wisdom Gu specially set this trap. Wait, does that mean that Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun are trapped inside reverse flow river forever? Someone said that and reminded everyone. The immortals turned their gazes towards reverse flow river. But this time, they paid no attention to Ma and Zhao. They were looking at Feng Yuan, who was not far behind. Feng Yuan. He did not give up. As a result of his perseverance, there was a huge opportunity now. This Lu Guan Yi was not swept away. He is still persevering. He is very close to Ma and Zhao now. That means with his speed, he can definitely catch up to Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun. Lu Guan Yi has immense battle strength. The battle earlier states everything. He had fought Lord Bai Chun Tian evenly in reverse flow river. The other Gu immortals were all eliminated. Only Feng Yuan, Ma Hongyun, and Zhao Lianyun were left, right now. Even if the Gu immortals outside reverse flow river wanted to catch up to them, there was no time. And more importantly, they were all eliminated. All of their mental energy regarding swimming upstream had been consumed. They had no determination to swim in reverse flow river anymore for this period of time. Damn it, the only hope now is that Lu Guan Yi will overly exert himself. Bai Chun Tian thought about it. His forehead was full of sweat. He suddenly reminded Ma and Zhao. Walk slowly. Don't rush. As long as you maintain your current speed, you can stay in reverse flow river. Bai Chun Tian had fought with Feng Yuan. He knew about Feng Yuan's immense strength when fighting in reverse flow river. On this point, Ing Wuxie, who had just escaped from reverse flow river, could prove it with his injuries. He had Purple Mountain True Monarch's help and was an immortal zombie, but he was still one step away from dying. Thus, with Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun on Central Continent's side, they should avoid meeting with Feng Yuan. They needed to stall for time until Feng Yuan could no longer persevere. This was Central Continent's only hope of victory, but Feng Yuan continued moving ahead. He was not fast, but compared to the turtle-like speed of Ma and Zhao, he was like a rocket. Not long after, he also stood on the riverbed. He was just 100 steps away from Ma and Zhao. Old ancestor Shui, who suddenly spoke. Very good. Lu Guan Yi, capture the two of them. You can ask for any request from me. Right now, you are wanted by both Lu tribe and Yi Lui tribe. But if you hand them to me, I will be your ally. Anyone who tries to deal with you will have to face me. Shui Hu. Wei Lingyang was stunned. He also spoke. Lu Guan Yi, we are Central Continent's 10 great sects, as well as Heavenly Court's members. If you can protect them, you can join Central Continent. We can modify your immortal aperture and let you adapt to Central Continent's heaven and earth chi. You will become a true Central Continent Gu immortal. After this merit, Central Continent will not disappoint you. Whatever old ancestor Shui who can give you, we can give you several times that, or even tens of times as many benefits to you. Lu Guan Yi, even though you do not have the Huang Jin bloodline, as long as you protect both Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun and hand them to Longevity Heaven, we can make an exception and allow you to become our external supreme elder. Joining Longevity Heaven will grant you unthinkable benefits. You will be in Northern Plains' righteous path and not demonic path. Not only will you no longer be wanted by anyone, all the Huang Jin tribes will welcome you. Flood Extremity also said in response. Chapter 1284, Ma Hongyun's Death. Chapter 1284, Ma Hongyun's Death. This was indeed a funny situation. All three sides gave Feng Yuan attractive offers. Feng Yuan's position was too advantageous. If he succeeded in this attempt, regardless of which side he joined, he would gain great benefits. However, Feng Yuan did not respond. He had no spare energy to speak. He stepped on the riverbed as he stood up and walked ahead. He knew that talking was pointless. Only by capturing Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun could he qualify to make conditions and negotiate with the three forces outside. The distance was shrinking. The people outside Reverse Flow River were watching Feng Yuan's movements. Some were speaking and trying to raise their offers. But there was something strange. Nobody said anything to threaten Feng Yuan, because everyone knew that Feng Yuan's public identity, Lu Guan Yi, was someone who could kill Yi Lui Kunxing. He had outstanding battle strength and even dared to offend Lu tribe. He was a vicious and lawless person. Threatening such a person would only have negative consequences. I must live. I want to be together with Hong Yun. Zhao Lianyun sobbed. She chanted in her heart. Every step was difficult for her. She was inching forward slowly. I am here. I am right here. Don't be afraid, Xiao Yun. I will protect you. Ma Hong Yun was pale as paper. He was holding Zhao Lianyun's arm as his vision turned dark. Every step he took, he felt an assault of intense dizziness. He felt that he would collapse at any moment. Where are you two going? Fang Yuan's voice came from behind Ma Hong Yun.ma, and Zhao shook. They turned around. Fang Yuan's hands were already on the shoulders of both Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lianyun. No. At this moment, Ma Hong Yun shouted loudly, pushing Zhao Lianyun away as he charged at Fang Yuan. But how could Fang Yuan allow Ma Hong Yun to succeed? Earlier, he failed to deal with Wu Xie and Purple Mountain True Monarch. Fang Yuan was already furious. Dealing with Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lianyun, a mortal and a false immortal, it was too easy. After some dazzling moves that made Ma Hong Yun's head spin, the two were subdued by Fang Yuan in turn. They were carried in each of his arms, unable to move. Ma and Zhao reacted, struggling intensely. But at this moment, Fang Yuan's cold voice spoke. Move, and I will kill the person you love. Instantly, Ma and Zhao shuddered. They looked at Fang Yuan with immense fear. Fang Yuan's words targeted their greatest weakness. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air. He carried these two captives as he walked forward. In this dangerous situation, Fang Yuan had finally found a way to survive. He looked outside the river, saying, We can negotiate now. Ha ha ha, lad, you are quite good. You are like me back in the day. We can talk it through. Old ancestor Shuehu laughed. Don't be rash. Central Continent can satisfy your needs. Wei Lingyang also said, Boring. Mao Li Chiu pouted, lying on the ground as it wagged its tail, relaxing. Black Extremity smiled bitterly. Lu Guanyi, just tell us what you want. At this moment, a change occurred. Ma Hong Yun suddenly stopped breathing. He was dead. The immortals were shocked. There was pure silence at once. Even Fang Yuan was shocked. I did not exert any strength. Oh wait, Ma Hong Yun died of exhaustion. He carried Zhao Lianyun as they traveled in the river. He was completely overexerting himself, surpassing his limits. Eventually, not only was he out of stamina, he was also drained of mental energy. After I caught him, his body relaxed and he died immediately. Fang Yuan quickly understood. This change caught him off guard. Ma Hong Yun was dead. The immortals gasped. Damn it. Lu Guanyi, you actually killed him. I will tear your bones and tendons out. I will make sure you die a terrible death. Old ancestor Shuehu fell into a rage. He screamed loudly as his eyes turned. Ma Hong Yun died. The effect of fortune rivaling heaven also completely dissipated. Only a living Ma Hong Yun had value as an immortal material. A dead Ma Hong Yun was just a rank 5 Gu Master corpse. This was why Lady Wan Shou had been keeping Ma Hong Yun alive and did not kill him before trying to refine the Gu. Like the spring dream fruit tree, Luck Path immortal materials also had a special trait. If it was a living Luck Path immortal material, it had to be alive. Refining the Luck Path immortal Gu would require a living refinement in that case. Ma Hong Yun, Bai Chun Tian, and Wei Lingyang were downcast. Little worm, you actually killed Ma Hong Yun. You squeezed him to death. Mao Li Chiu shouted even more loudly than old ancestor Shuehu. It was furious and bared its sharp fangs. It was agitated, and its hair was standing. It was ready to pounce to devour Fang Yuan alive. Ma Hong Yun actually died? Never mind. I still have Zhao Lianyun. Fang Yuan held in his shock. Zhao Lianyun was covered in tears. Hong Yun. Hong Yun. The person she loved had died right in front of her. Unparalleled grief and sadness assaulted her and overwhelmed her like a tsunami. But she could not scream. She could not shout. She was unable to emit any sound. She could only scream in her heart and cry. She had spent so much effort to reach this step. She had just reunited with Ma Hong Yun when they were separated for good. What was Zhao Lianyun going to do now? Her tears flowed like a river. The pain was engraved in her soul. Extreme grief. was causing her to tremble intensely. Oh no. Fang Yuan quickly made a move. Wanting to knock out Zhao Lien was to prevent Zhao Lianyun from dying on the spot, as well from grief. However, right when Fang Yuan was about to hit Zhao Lianyun's neck, a blue light burst out from Zhao Lianyun's body. Rank 9 Love Immortal Goo. At the most critical moment, it displayed its might again. This aura. Rank 9 Love Goo? Wait, aren't goo worms unable to be used in reverse flow river? Flood Extremity called out. Mao Li Chiu rolled its eyes. Are you stupid? How can anything be absolute in this world? Reverse flow river is a secluded domain of heaven and earth. It is filled with Dao marks, preventing goo worms from being used. But if it is a rank 9 immortal goo, they are not Dao marks but fragments of the great Dao. And a fragment of the great Dao cannot be suppressed by reverse flow river's Dao marks. The immortal goo's power can be used. Save him, even if I have to sacrifice my life. Zhao Lianyun was overjoyed. She screamed in her heart. But love immortal goo could not be controlled. The blue light brought Zhao Lianyun into the sky, escaping reverse flow river. It then went to Wei Ling Yang and by Qin Tian. The speed was simply too fast to react to. Meanwhile, Ma Hongyun's corpse remained. Fang Yuan was holding on to it. Even though Ma Hongyun died, his soul was still in his body, but old ancestor Shui who lost all interest in this corpse already. If reviving Ma Hongyun would help, Lady Wanshou would not have used this difficult living refinement method. Mao Li Chiu was staring at Fang Yuan, ready to attack. Fang Yuan had grasped the chance earlier, but to think that this sudden change would cause Fang Yuan to fall into even bigger danger than before. Such a mishap. It is definitely heaven's will. Instantly, Fang Yuan understood that he had fallen into reverse flow river. His immortal goo were ineffective. After such a long time passed, Heaven's Will had already started its plotting. He was first swept into reverse flow river, followed by the events of Purple Mountain True Monarch and Ingwu Xie, and finally, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun at Heaven's Will. Fang Yuan raised his head at this moment. He was completely trapped, not just old ancestor Shuehu, Mao Li Chiu, and Central Continent's goo. Immortals, even Heaven's Will was everywhere, trying desperately to eliminate this biggest uncontrollable factor. A desperate situation. Then, what should I do? Fang Yuan's mouth was dry, but from start to finish, he was expressionless. He could not think of a way. Just old ancestor Shuehu alone was an enemy Fang Yuan could not face. That giant purple ferret was unfathomable. It was giant sun immortal venerable steed, not to mention the other goo immortals. Fang Yuan had no way. He could only continue moving in reverse flow river. The clamoring of the goo immortals around him continued. Lu Guanyi, you cannot escape death today. You committed so much evil. You have done yourself in today. The fact that you are in this state is truly heaven's judgment. Kill him. We need to kill him. He actually foiled our plans. Do you know that you killed someone you could not touch? You will die for sure today. Howl. The dog-tail life extending ferret howled. Sound waves resounded endlessly. If not for reverse flow river, it would have attacked Fang Yuan already. I have no choice now. If reverse flow river sweeps me out, with my current methods, there is little chance of escaping. Fang Yuan was completely stumped. He could only continue moving forward in reverse flow river. Step by step, he was at the front already. Every step he took, reverse flow river would move forward by a bit, causing Fang Yuan to stay in the river forever. Reverse flow river had no end. This was a form of despair, but Fang Yuan did not feel anything. In my life, I have experienced too many instances of despair. Fang Yuan sighed internally. His gaze was clear. He was still expressionless. In the current situation, I can only wait for the three sides to fight. I will then be able to escape. I can only persevere in this river. Fang Yuan thought, step by step. Time passed. The goo immortals who were waiting for Fang Yuan to be swept out became frustrated. Is he going to stop? What's the point of moving forward in reverse flow river? You will still die. Come out, you coward. I will kill you with one slap. It is hopeless now. Lu Guanyi, suiciding is the only way you can retain your honor. Some goo immortals were laughing. Some were watching coldly. In their opinion, Fang Yuan was just struggling futilely. Chapter 1285. Fang Yuan's Perseverance. Chapter 1285, Feng Yuan's Perseverance. If you think that there will be a chance to escape when we fight, you can forget about it. Today, I only have one target, that is you. Do you know how much of a price I've paid to refine fortune rivaling heaven goo? You foiled my cultivation plan. You are the person I hate most in my life. If I do not kill you, I will never be appeased. Old ancestor Shui Hu looked at Feng Yuan with deep hatred. His words were like an icy river pouring on Feng Yuan. But Feng Yuan was still expressionless. He was like a rock, a deaf person. Anyone's words, be it threats or promises, had no effect on him as time passed. Feng Yuan continued to move forward. Unknowingly, the growling of the dogtail life extending ferret, Mao Li Chiu, became softer. This giant purple ferret's expression had changed. It spoke in a weird and incredulous tone, looking at Feng Yuan. No way what? Black Extremity was confused at this moment. Old ancestor Shui Hu, Bai Qin Tian, and Wei Ling Yang also had changes in their expressions. They sensed something. Soon, the other goo immortals present were stirred up. They quickly shouted, This is a goo worm's aura? But it doesn't seem like it. What goo worm? Impossible. Does he also have a rank 9 immortal goo? This is weird. This is not an immortal goo's aura. Or rather, it is not complete. This is so strange. Suddenly, Yu Yi's eyes shined. He guessed the truth as he said, This situation, he is refining goo. A goo immortal immediately mocked. How can that be? Refining goo in reverse flow river. That was true. Gu worms could not be used in reverse flow river, unless it was a rank 9 immortal goo. Even though Feng Yuan had wisdom goo, it was inside Langya blessed land. He could not use any goo worms, not to mention refining goo. Feng Yuan also felt the change inside his body. He was expressionless, but he was shocked on the inside. It seems, I really am refining goo. What is going on? Every step I take, the aura in my body strengthens. What is going on? Even though Feng Yuan did not understand it, he knew that this was a turning point. The situation was at its worst. No matter what, Feng Yuan wanted to try. He continued to move forward. Step by step, he walked steadily. He was expressionless, but it gave others a feeling of strength. Why does he show no expression? A goo immortal suddenly asked. The immortals finally reacted. That was true. Other than Feng Yuan, everyone else who had been in this situation had distorted expressions. They were in pain, or they were going crazy or sobbing. But why was Feng Yuan expressionless from start to finish? The immortals were silent. They all knew that the person who asked this question actually was asking about something else, and that was, why is this Lu Guan able to persevere for so long? Furthermore, he seems to be able to continue. It seems like he can persevere forever. How was it possible? Everyone was eliminated, swept away by reverse flow river. How could he remain here with so much remaining strength? Why was it him? Why was it him? Nobody could answer that. The goo immortals were all silent. A moment later, as Feng Yuan continued to advance, the goo worm aura in his body continued to strengthen. It was at its peak. Soon, from inside Feng Yuan's body to the outside, he started to shine in a bright, pure white light. It really became like this. Mao Li Chiu saw this, and his eyes were staring wide open. He was gaping, unable to believe the sight in front of him. Grandpa Mao, what is going on? Black Extremity could not endure it. He asked, Sigh. At this point, there is no reason in me hiding it anymore. Mao Li Chiu sighed deeply, showing a defeated look on his face. There is an immortal goo nurturing inside his body. This immortal goo's name is Perseverance. Mao Li Chiu said some shocking things. Perseverance, immortal goo. Black Extremity was extremely shocked. The other goo immortals were too. It is said in The Legends of Renzu that Perseverance immortal goo was the crucial immortal goo that could allow the user to conquer reverse flow river. Isn't it just a legend? Yu Yizi asked. No, it exists. Bai Qin Tian said. He was a heavenly court goo immortal. He knew many ancient secrets. There was a person who had once owned it. That person was a former leader of heavenly court, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Wei Lingyang added, What? The immortals went into shock again. But we had never expected the refinement method of Perseverance Immortal Goo to be like this. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had never mentioned it. Bai Chen Tian sighed and shook his head. Of course he didn't. This is a shameful event in his life. He. Mao Li Chiu interjected. It was very interested in anything that would ruin Heavenly Court's reputation. These words made sure Zhang Yi shout. Rubbish! How dare you slander the reputation of an immortal venerable? Daring to yell at a legendary, immemorial, desolate beast, Shi Zhang Yi was truly courageous. Many Central Continent Gu immortals were worried for him. Mao Li Chiu did not get angry. Little boy, what do you know? Immortal venerable or demon venerable, even if they have high cultivation level, they are still human. Humans have emotions, they have flaws, they have weaknesses. Back then, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable charged through Reverse Flow River and was trapped inside, unable to escape. Eventually, he painstakingly traveled to the end of the river and refined perseverance Immortal Gu in his body. From then on, he conquered Reverse Flow River and became the first Reverse Flow River Lord in history. The first Reverse Flow River Lord? Even old ancestor Shui who was shocked. This Reverse Flow River had been his for so long. He did not think there were such secrets. This means, at once, the immortal's gazes landed on Feng Yuan. Mao Li Chiu sighed. With his gaze fixed on Feng Yuan who was bathed in white light, he said helplessly, "That is true. At this rate, he will refine perseverance Immortal Gu and become the second Reverse Flow River Lord." The immortals were lost for words. They looked at Feng Yuan, who continued moving forward. He was expressionless. No matter how many steps he took, Reverse Flow River was always still below his feet, as if fate was mocking and laughing at him. But he continued walking. He had traveled through 500 years of experiences over his previous life. He did not know how much longer he would have to walk. But he knew where he needed to go. If nobody could stop him at least inside this river. Nobody could stop him. In the 500 years of his previous life. Feng Yuan sat inside the bamboo house. He looked at the village. He looked at Qingmao Mountain. His fists were clenched. Hope was displayed all over his young and tender face. It is time to give up the past. Transmigrating here is my greatest opportunity. Because here, I can attain eternal life. I have to make good use of this rare opportunity. Otherwise, how can I live with myself? How can I give up this chance? Of course, right now, I need to improve the living conditions of me and my brother. That little fellow. After the aperture awakening. On the battle stage, Feng Yuan lowered his head. He was filled with shock and anger. I was set up. Who set me up? Who does not want me to win in battle? The answer is obvious. Brother, give up. You are not my match. Because of our differing aptitude, we are fated to be different. Gu Yu Fengzheng said with glee and smugness in front of him. Feng Yuan turned around and left. He was filled with determination. Since the village refuses to nurture me, since my aunt and uncle are purposely pushing me aside, what is the point of staying here? If I stay here, will I be able to get stronger and gain eternal life? Why don't I leave? Inside the caravan. Gu Master Big Beard died. Feng Yuan stood in front of his grave. The youngster was filled with tears. He sobbed. Uncle Big Beard, rest in peace. Thank you for the final present. You said, when you were a child, you wanted to be a grand hero, like those legendary figures of the righteous path. When you were a youngster, you wanted to be a clan leader. When you were an adult, you were satisfied with becoming a clan elder. When you were a middle-aged man, you were exiled from the clan. You felt that you could live by yourself just as well. You were satisfied with just raising your goo worms and yourself. But I am not like this. I will not forego my dreams just because of age. This world is too big, but we are all minor characters. I will work hard. I will definitely do my best. Childhood, adolescence, adulthood, Qingmao Mountain, caravan, he walked all along. Middle age, old age, and eventually, lifespan Gu, southern border, western desert, eastern sea, and central continent. After his rebirth using spring-autumn cicada, Qingmao Mountain, Three Kings Blessed Land, Hu Immortal Blessed Land, Imperial Court Blessed Land, Etian Mountain, and Reverse Flow River, step by step. Through difficulties and ordeals, Bi Chen Tian frowned. He stared at Feng Yuan's figure, thinking, what sort of willpower is this? Why does he persevere? What makes him persevere to this extent? Old ancestor Shui, who snorted coldly, solemnness showed in his eyes. He no longer looked down on this rank 7 Gu immortal. This means There was Genesis Lotus 300,000 years ago, and now there is Lu Guan Yi, the reverse flow river lord. Mao Liqiu looked at the light on Feng Yuan's body. There was nothing it could do. It bore its fangs and scratched the ground with its claws, causing deep marks to form. Bai Ning Bing's and He Lulan's eyelids were twitching. They were evidently moved. Zhao Lianyun had woken up. She looked at Ma Hongyun's corpse, held in Feng Yuan's arm. Her tears were flowing out. She cried in her heart, Hongyun, Hongyun, how could you leave me like this? Without you, I am all alone in this world. What is the point of living? Do you know? The perseverance of one person is so difficult. How difficult is the perseverance of one person? All of the Gu immortals here could answer that question, because among them, some persevered because of responsibility, some persevered because of hatred, some persevered because of excitement, and some persevered because of love. And Feng Yuan's answer. He was still expressionless. He continued to move forward relentlessly. I had once screamed. Gradually, I lost my voice that I had once cried. Gradually, I lost my tears that I had once grieved. Gradually, I became able to withstand everything that I had once rejoiced. Gradually, I became unmoved by the world. And now, all I have left is an expressionless face. My gaze is as tough as a monolith. Only perseverance remains in my heart. This is my own, an insignificant character, Feng Yuan's. Perseverance. A dazzling light erupted out. Perseverance, immortal Gu, at this moment, was refined successfully.